I should have smelled the trap the second I stepped into the timber house. The place oozed fake charm, string lights dangling like a desperate Target clearance rack, brick walls shouting family values louder than a Boise State tailgate, and a warmth that felt more like a choke than a hug. I'd footed the bill for it all. The catering with those mini sliders nobody touched, the private room rental, even the cream-colored roses Mom raved about from that overpriced florist on 8th Street. My 36th birthday, my dime. And they couldn't even fake a shred of gratitude. Sierra waved at me like she hadn't ghosted my texts for a week straight. "Well, look who finally crawled out of her cave," she yelled, loud enough to spin every head in the room. I flashed a smile, not because it was clever, but because I'd spent decades training my face to lie when my heart wanted to roar. Devin, my brother, mumbled something about rent, probably fishing for a Venmo bailout. Mom, Meredith, barely glanced up from fussing with her scarf, a $200 Nordstrom splurge I'd gifted her last Christmas. "Oh, good, you're here. We were just about to order," she said, like I'd stalled their sacred Olive Garden knockoff night. Classic. Appetizers landed. Overpriced sliders and a kale dip that tasted like regret. Small talk limped along like a wounded deer. More fake smiles all around. Dad, Thomas, sipped his ginger ale like it was a double bourbon, offering his usual mute support. But even then, I caught the flick of his eyes, restless, calculating. Not detached. Just distant. I brushed it off. He'd always been the quiet one, the shadow in the room. Then the lights dimmed. I looked up, expecting the cake I'd ordered. 2 tiers, white buttercream, gold foil edges, "Happy 36th Natalie" in soft cursive. I'd even emailed the bakery a mock-up, something classy, something me. But that's not what rolled out. Sierra strutted behind a server pushing a cart with a cake I'd never seen. 1 layer, hot pink frosting so loud it could wake a coma patient, and in giant white letters across the top. "Happy birthday to the family's biggest disappointment." For a split second, I thought I'd blacked out and dreamed it. But no. Devin lost it first, howling and smacking the table like he'd just won a bar bet. Mom let out that tight, rehearsed laugh she pulls out for "it's just a joke" cover-ups. All teeth and zero warmth. Sierra clapped once, sharp and smug. "Come on, Natalie, it's funny." Funny. Their favorite dagger. Always wrapped in a bow. I stared at that neon abomination glowing under the timber house's trendy Edison bulbs, and something inside me snapped. Quiet, clean, like a pencil breaking mid-sentence. I didn't blink, didn't speak, because I knew what this was. I'd always known. They just didn't think I'd ever grow a spine and call it out. Sierra blew out the candles before I could even lean forward. Of course she did. This was her circus now. I excused myself, voice level, not because I was crumbling, but because one more minute in that faux rustic dumpster fire, and I'd have flipped the table and set their whole charade ablaze. Outside, the Idaho wind cut through my jacket, their laughter clinging like cheap vape smoke. That cake wasn't the start. It was the first time I let myself see the truth. A loud, pink, frosted billboard screaming, "You don't matter here. Never have." And the gut punch? It wasn't new. I'd just been slapping fresh coats of denial over the rot since I was a kid. I was 16 when I threw myself a birthday party. Picture it. Boise basement, balloons tied to every chair, a playlist I'd burned onto a CD, early 2000s pop punk, my Fall Out Boy phase in full throttle. I'd baked brownies from scratch, even melted the chocolate chips myself. But when the day hit, no one showed. Devin had cooked up a last-minute camping trip to McCall, dragging half the family along. Dad stayed back, said he had work, but I saw him later that night, counting cash from an envelope in the kitchen, eyes darting like he was hiding something. No calls, no texts, not even a "sorry, sis." I sat alone on our ratty couch, eating cold brownies while their Instagram stories blasted campfire sing-alongs through my cracked iPhone 4. I told myself it was fine. Families are chaotic, I shrugged, wiping chocolate off my chin. Then Sierra's college graduation dinner. She stood up, wine glass raised, thanking everyone who got her there. Mom, Dad, Devin, even her high school track coach who'd barely shown up. Everyone but me. I'd picked up her dry cleaning, edited her final paper till 2 a.m., held her hand through panic attacks over finals. Dad sat there, nodding along, but his fingers tapped the table, restless, like he was waiting for something. When I asked Sierra later why I got snubbed, she rolled her eyes, so hard I swear I heard them clack. Don't make it about you, Nat. But it was about me, just not how I dreamed. I was the grunt, the glue, the punchline when they needed a cheap laugh. The first real knife twisted when I told Mom I'd made senior partner at the firm. I'd skipped Thanksgivings, pulled all-nighters, cashed in every favor I had in Seattle's cutthroat legal scene. Her response? Don't let it make you arrogant. Dad, sitting across the table, didn't look up, just scribbled something on a napkin and stuffed it in his pocket. Arrogant. Like pride was a luxury I couldn't afford. And the quiet cuts kept piling up. The family group chat I was never looped into, the eye rolls at my startup pitches, the time I found out Mom had forwarded my pitch deck to Sierra behind my back. I'd emailed it to her last spring, subject line. Thought you might be proud of this. A business plan I'd poured my soul into, 60 slides of blood and sweat. No reply. But I checked the message history weeks later, forwarded to Sierra within 30 minutes. No note. No great work. Just a clean little backstab, CC'd and delivered. I'd asked Dad about it once. Casually, he'd been in the room when I sent it. He just shrugged, eyes sliding away. Ask your mother. That night at Timber House, when Sierra shoved that cake in my face with a smirk like it was a viral TikTok bit, it clicked. They hadn't just ignored me. They'd rewritten me. And I was done playing their watered-down Natalie. I didn't cry in the bathroom. I locked the stall, pressed my back to the cold metal door, and let the silence armor me up. Not heartbreak, just a strange, steady calm, like I'd zoomed out and was watching the wreckage from above, a woman in a black dress, standing in the ashes of a moment her family had torched for kicks. I wasn't shocked, just done pretending. The tile gleamed too bright, too sterile for a world where sisters serve cruelty with candles. I'd spent years swallowing it, smiling through barbs, sipping Pinot to choke down the hurt, convincing myself this was just family chaos. But in that bathroom, something broke. Not loud. Deep. Like a rib snapping clean. Thanksgiving 2020 flashed up. I'd asked to bring Michael, my boyfriend of 2 years, to dinner. Mom didn't blink. Thanksgiving's for family, she said, cool as a January frost. Dad nodded, but his hand slipped under the table, texting someone. I caught the glow of his phone. Like I didn't get to choose who mine was. I spent it alone in my Seattle studio, boiling Trader Joe's pasta and lighting a dollar store candle, texting Sierra a jokey pic. Happy Thanksgiving from Team of One. Her reply? A thumbs-up emoji. I'd brushed it off then, called them old school, private. But in that Timber House bathroom, the excuses dried up. Then there was the startup pitch. I'd sent Mom that deck, 60 slides of my future, hoping for once she'd say, I see you. Instead, she forwarded it to Sierra, who pitched my ideas as hers at some Boise networking brunch. I found out from a friend who'd been there, sipping mimosas while Sierra soaked up the applause. When I asked Mom about it, she shrugged. It's just business, Natalie. Dad had been there too, pouring coffee, eyes flicking between us like he was tallying a score. But that night, staring at the bathroom mirror, I made a call. I texted Michael, still a friend, even after we'd split. You were right. They're never gonna change. His reply came fast. Took you long enough. You're free now. A small win, a tether to someone who'd seen it before I did. Back in the hall, I lingered by the door, the hum of their voices seeping through the wood. Before I faced them again, a memory flickered. Mrs. Callahan, my 7th grade English teacher at Boise Middle. She'd pull me aside after class one day, her glasses slipping down her nose, and said, You've got fire, Natalie. Don't let anyone smother it. I'd laughed then, awkward and 12, thinking she was just being nice about my essay on The Outsiders. But now? Standing there, the sting of that pink cake still fresh, I felt that ember again. Warm. Defiant. She'd seen me when no one else had, not a disappointment, but a spark. It wasn't much, but it was enough to straighten my spine. I wasn't just walking back into that room. I was stepping toward the fight. Back in the dining room, they carried on like nothing happened. Sierra yapped about her podcast, some self-help drivel she'd branded as raw truth, to hawk $40 candles. Devin scrolled X, probably shitposting about Dogecoin. Mom tweaked the centerpiece I'd paid for, like drooping roses were the night's real crime. Dad sat there, ginger ale in hand, but his fingers drummed the glass. Quick, restless, like he was waiting for a signal. No one looked at me. They didn't have to. They'd bet I'd swallow it, smile, text thanks for tonight like clockwork. Not this time. I sat, lips curved just enough to keep them comfy. Inside, I was already out the door, plotting the exit. Not from Timber House. From them. Later, in my Boise Marriott room, still in that dress I'd worn to impress ghosts, my phone buzzed. Sierra. Happy birthday again. Hope you're not mad. Just a joke, 2 hearts. Her usual, sugar over a shiv. I didn't reply. I stared at the popcorn ceiling, letting every betrayal replay, like a Netflix queue. I grabbed my laptop, dug up that pitch deck email. Forwarded to Sierra, 7:32 p.m., March 14th, 2024. No comment. Just theft. I shut it slow, like burying a body, and whispered, "That's enough." Not anger. Clarity. But before I went all in, a memory hit sophomore year at Boise High. I'd laughed along when a friend, Jen, got flamed in a group chat over some dumb rumor about her prom date. I hadn't started it, someone else threw the first spark, but I didn't stop it either. Just typed LOL, and scrolled on. She ghosted me after, dropped out of our lunch table crew. At the time, I shrugged, thought she was overreacting. But now? I got it. Silence is complicity. And I'd been complicit in my own erasure for years, letting their jabs slide, pretending it didn't burn. Not anymore. I wasn't them, not then, not now. I'd grown past that. Sunrise bled over Boise, and I wasn't their Natalie anymore. No polite hope you're well texts, no smoothing over. I pulled on black slacks and a gray sweater, tied my hair back, and opened my laptop like I was loading a shotgun. First, the email chain. My pitch deck, sent in trust, forwarded in secret. Timestamp logged, 7:32 p.m. Then Sierra's dream home listing. She'd posted it on Instagram last fall, captioned, "Manifested this baby," with a prayer hands emoji. But the mortgage structure? A carbon copy of my deck, down to the amortization table. She didn't manifest. She mirrored. Next, Devin. Cloud logs showed an access attempt, blocked, flagged. Location, Boise. IP traced to his work laptop at that sketchy tech startup he hyped on LinkedIn. I called Erica, my assistant. Confirm it. No question, she said, all business. Devin. Use the link from your mom's forward. Tried your financial forecast, April 2024. Log it, I said, hand steady. I'm taking it from here. That evening, Sierra hosted dinner at her place. Candles flickering, jazz humming. A let's move on vibe straight out of a rom-com. I walked in with a tote bag and Aiden, my boyfriend, a step behind. Dad was there, quieter than usual, but his eyes kept darting to his phone under the table. I waited till the wine flowed, plates half empty. Then I dropped an envelope smack in the table center. Dad reached for it first. Not Mom. Not Sierra. Dad. His hand hovered over the papers like he could gather them all back, like he hadn't already been caught. I stared at that hand, steady, weathered, a thief's hand, and ripped the envelope open before he could touch it. Pages spilled out. Access logs, email forwards, IP screenshots, timestamps. This one's Devin's laptop, I said, tapping a printout. This is Mom's forward. And Sierra, this is you. Opening it last Wednesday. The room went still. Meredith set her glass down too slow. Natalie, let's not make this a reckoning? I cut in, voice low, razor sharp. It's already here. You used my data, I said. My trust. Without consent. Then smiled like it was nothing. Sierra's lip wobbled. Why's everything betrayal with you? Because it is, I said flat. And family's not a hall pass. Devin smirked, slouching back. It's just info, not relax. My info. I snapped, eyes locked. Not yours to swipe. Dad pulled his hand back, but his knuckles stayed white around his glass. No yelling. Just facts, cold and final. I pulled my phone, texted Erica. Go live. Forbes first. Aiden and I stood. In the silence, I caught Sierra's reflection in the mirror, lip trembling, but not from guilt. From fear. Not of me, but of what she'd be without me. She'd built her world on borrowed brilliance. And I was done lending. We walked out. No one spoke. No one followed. They knew I wasn't playing. The article dropped before I hit the hotel elevator. Erica had it primed. Headline: The silent investor who funded her family and walked away. Byline: Natalie Quinn, founder, strategist, ghostwriter of dreams that weren't hers. Screenshots, logs, blurred names. Years of proof I'd buried, thinking silence was noble. My inbox blew up. A tech podcaster I'd ghosted, a journalist who'd sniffed rumors, a mentee who wrote, "Thanks for this." Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You think you've won, but you don't know half of it. Check your bank. I froze. Logged into my Chase account, $50,000 gone. Transferred out that afternoon. Memo, family loan. No approval. No heads up. I called Erica. Pull my financials. Now. On it, she said. 10 minutes later. It's Dad. His login hit your joint emergency fund. Old account from 2018. He's got admin access. Dad. Thomas. The quiet one, sipping ginger ale, while the rest of them brawled. Except he wasn't quiet. He'd been skimming for months. Small pulls I'd missed. Funneled to Sierra's dream home, down payment, and Devin's startup that never left the garage. The cake? The pitch deck? Child's play compared to this. Those restless eyes, that napkin scribble, the phone glow under the table. It wasn't attachment. It was a plan. I texted him. Explain. Now. His reply 5 minutes later. You've got enough, Natalie. We needed it more. Needed it more. Like my life was their piggy bank. I didn't sleep. Called Chase at 6 a.m., locked the account, filed a fraud claim, $50,000 flagged as stolen. Then I emailed Erica. Update Forbes. Add Dad's transfers. Full blast. The revised piece hit at noon. The silent investor betrayed. Family's secret cash grab exposed. X went nuclear. Sierra posted an Instagram carousel. Tears. A faded Polaroid. Caption dripping deflection. Some can't handle being called out, so they burn it all down. I've always loved my sister. Hope she finds peace. Comments swung wild. Sympathy, confusion then. Wait, she funded your house. Silence. Devin tweeted. Family's not perfect. Doesn't belong in headlines. Ratioed in 8 minutes. A meme blew up. When you rob your sister and cry about the receipts. Mom stayed mute, her signature. Dad texted again. You didn't have to do this. I left him on read. The fallout hit like a freight train. Sierra lost 2 brand deals. One, a skincare line, posted about ethical partnerships. Devin's Denver Tech Summit keynote got yanked, swapped for a women-led AI startup. Dad's golf buddies stopped tagging him in their Boise Country Club pics. Then, 3 weeks later, Chase escalated the claim. Their legal team contacted Dad. Civil breach of trust, possibly federal, if intent to defraud held up. He stopped texting. I didn't cheer. Just watched. Then Chase called. Ms. Quinn, we've flagged the transfer as unauthorized. Funds are being restored pending review. A $50,000 lifeline, clawing its way back. Not the full win yet, but a start. 2 weeks later, Seattle rain drummed my apartment windows. No text from them. Just quiet. Earned quiet. Sierra's podcast sponsors bailed. Her vulnerability shtick didn't sell without my shadow funding it. Devin's LinkedIn got real sparse on congrats posts. Mom's Insta likes dried up. Dad's name vanished from the family's usual happy vibes posts, his silence, now a legal shadow. I wasn't keeping score. I was cutting ties. An email landed. Keynote confirmed. Women in Tech Conference, Seattle. Title: The Black Sheep Who Built the House. I'd said yes weeks back, no fanfare. Aiden sat with me as I prepped. One more run, he asked, sipping Stumptown coffee. Nope, I said. I'm good. On stage, I felt solid. No shakes. Just truth. I thought being the black sheep meant fighting to fit, I said, voice steady. But sometimes, you just see the wolf first. A gasp rippled. Then nods, real ones. You don't need belief to be valid, or love to be worthy, or to explain boundaries to people who'll trample them. Applause rolled. Deep, not loud. I exhaled, finally free. That night, I dug out old relics, a torn invite I'd reprinted out of guilt, the Forbes printout, a keynote pic. Me, no spotlight needed. Then I found it, a faded photo from 1995, all of us crammed on a Boise porch, Sierra smirking, Devin mid-yell, Mom fussing with her hair, Dad staring off, and me, small and squinting, shoved to the edge. I held it, fingers tracing the worn edges. I didn't tear it. I just slipped myself out, careful, deliberate, and pinned that piece, just me, on the fridge. Not nostalgia. Proof. I was done being part of a picture where I never belonged. An email hit my mentorship fund inbox. Read your story. Left my mom's house today. Thanks for showing me I'm not crazy. I saved it to healing out loud. I looked at the mirror one last time that night, not to check my makeup, not to see if I looked put together, but to meet the woman who finally chose herself. She looked back. Calm. Certain. Then I smiled, real, raw, mine. Not for them. For me. If you've ever felt erased, shrunk to keep peace, hear this. You don't need to fix their version of you. Choose you. That's where it begins. I'm Natalie Quinn. This is where I start talking, really talking. If it resonates, come with me. I'll be sharing more every week so we can heal out loud together. Loyalty to others shouldn't cost you yourself. Natalie stayed silent for years, excusing sarcasm, theft, betrayal, all to keep peace. But silence isn't strength, it's permission. And the longer you let it slide, the deeper it cuts. Love without respect isn't love. Family's not a blank check to dismiss you, raid your accounts, or rewrite your worth. For those raised on family first, endurance can feel like grace. It's not. Grace is walking away from what breaks you. Protecting your peace, even from blood, is courage. Not revenge. Clarity. Your value isn't how much you can take. If you've swallowed too many smiling knives, know this. It's never too late to choose peace over performance. Boundaries aren't betrayal. They're survival. You don't need permission to save yourself.